So I went out and rented a Blackmagic Micro. So this is a really small camera. It's a kind of a upgrade from the Blackmagic Pocket, as this camera is much smaller. A lot of things has been improved and the monitor is removed, but still it has the same Super 16 sensor. The big difference is that this can now shoot 50 and 60p in RAW and also has a compressed RAW. And this camera, the button placement is a little bit odd. It doesn't have a monitor, it doesn't have a lot of things, so I needed to rig it up professionally with a lot of extra gear to make it more user friendly and more of a professional use. So I added my SmallHD DP4 monitor on it. I got the Cinegear remote controller for it. I made a custom small rig cage for it and added a MPF to 12-volt plate to it to power the camera. So the main issue with this camera is its button placement. It's placed on the front of the camera, and if you have it rigged up as I did, you won't be able to see the buttons that easily, especially if you need to access the menu. The menu system is of course the same as all the other cameras, from the BMCC to the Blackmagic Pocket and all the other cameras. The only difference is that this has a remote menu. From Cinegear Pro, I've gotten this remote controller, which I did a short review at BSC, and I have to say this really saved my life, making it much easier to control the camera. With this remote, you actually get a small adapter for the breakout. Instead of needing to use the long breakout cables, it has a small breakout box, which has a 12-volt in and the plug for the remote. The remote is mainly for making it easier to change the exposure of your camera without going into the menu. However, the only dial you get is for the iris, and you need to have a native Micro Four Thirds lens for that. However, the other buttons only toggle through it instead of going up or down, or making it able to use the dial for changing those settings. So the rest, like the angle, is just only toggling, and also the white balance. Now going into the real world use of this camera, going into the city and filming some of the shots, I really like that it has like raw slow-mo, as not a lot of cameras in this category got it. The RAW is really nice, especially getting large dynamic range with it. So testing it and having a more real world experience with the camera, I have to say the first issue is I really needed that remote. If I didn't had it, the exposure would have been really slowly to change, and this makes it much easier. The second problem was the battery life. The main issue I had was that it drained really fast, but I found the problem was that I was stopping or turning off the camera, which actually used a lot of power. Eventually, I just left the camera running and just turned off the screens instead. Another thing that annoyed me was that I couldn't open the DNG in other programs, so I was forced to use Resolve. I have to say they have improved it quite a lot. The previous versions that I used when I had the Blackmagic Pocket was really hard to understand everything, and now they really updated the interface. It's now much more user friendly, and the editing part is also much improved. But the one thing that really annoys me is this snapping. Because it snaps the timeline, this line. So if I move it close to the edge of or the beginning of a timeline, it just snaps to it, which is really annoying if I want to edit, like just lost few frames, I want to cut it off or move or shorten it. I have to turn this off, and then I can move the timeline around much more freely. So that is something that they could improve upon. And also, if I am grading, especially with the DNG files in RAW, if I want to change a grade like this, it needs to then render out, and right now it will be very laggy to watch, so I have to wait quite long. So This is already like several seconds waiting just for this part to load or render a preview out so that it's more running more smoothly. Even though I've lowered all the settings here to ProRes proxy and using a quarter resolution, it still takes quite a long time for it to render a preview each time. Hopefully they find some kind of codec that would improve it or make it faster in upcoming versions. And a lot of people also asked me if I could do like presets or make effects inside of Resolve. But I have to say, watching this list of just effects, these are just not enough to do a lot of things. This is very limiting for me to make anything out of. So the conclusion of using this camera, if I really like it or not, personally, it's not really a camera for me. It's mostly for filmmakers that really needs the RAW for grading. But for my own use, I don't really need it. My use is more faster output. The Panasonic G7 that I have is much easier to use and much easier to work with, and it fits my style more. Especially for professional filmmakers, this is a good camera, especially when you need to have the dynamic range to grade with, and this camera can do 50 or 60p slow-mo. And also, if you already own a Blackmagic Pocket or a Blackmagic Cinema, this is a quite simple camera you can use as a B camera for when you need to have slow-mo. However, you do need to buy a lot of additional gear to make this camera useful. So I hope you guys like this review, and please give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more upcoming videos, please subscribe. Also check out my other videos on this channel. There's a lot of previews, reviews, tutorials and more. And if you have any questions, please comment below, and I'll see you the next time. Bye bye.